Now let's move on and talk about some stocks to watch, because Jenny Horne, host of Next Gen Investing, is with us, and we've seen Eli Lilly on the move. The disappointing numbers, a sell-off for this name. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Nicole. And we did preview this name yesterday where we were discussing the way that right now it does command a good bulk of right now what has been a very lucrative GLP-1 market. And their various drugs like tirzepatide have been a huge cash cow for the company. But disappointment overall, especially regarding those results for their expected oral GLP-1 treatment, which was the really cash cow that generated so much of the enthusiasm that has circulated with Eli Lilly over the last several years. So they did highlight the dose of that daily obesity pill, which helped patients lose about 12% of their body fat, or roughly 27 pounds at 72 weeks of the late-stage trial. That being said, this pill is one step closer to becoming the first needle-free alternative to this very booming market for weight loss drugs, of course, otherwise known as GLP-1s, but some doctors have really criticized some of the weight loss results. Others have noted that the rates of patients at the highest dose of the pill who discontinued the treatment saw actually major side effects as a result. So that was, a huge reason we saw some of this pressure this morning. And again, meanwhile, we've also seen shares of its rival, Novo Nordisk, see some of that pessimism as well, as they also do try to bring an obesity pill to market. But that name actually jumped more than 7% this morning. So it's somewhat like they do trade in tandem. Lilly jumped on Novo Nordisk's disappointing guidance, and then today we're seeing Novo trade higher in correlation. So the data does come after what had been overall expected enthusiasm for these treatments, and also some doctors have also really said this is strong and promising for the overall future of the oral agent, while others do say that right now the bar is set so high based on the fact that we've already basically traded with the momentum to guarantee that this transformative drug would be coming to market sooner than expected. So when you have a lot of these drugs in your pipeline, it's not abnormal to see some of this slippage because of the fact that we had already been trading on the expectation. So now the slowness to market is going to be, I think, the really pain point. And also, this company does have exposure to the massive patents that are expiring at the end of this decade in the overall just drug treatment space. So there's definitely pessimism to be felt. I will say that we have already come back a bit off session lows. So maybe market taking a breath after that initial plummet on the back of some of this news.
Yeah, Novo, you were talking about Zepbound, and there's Wegovy. But here with Eli Lilly, what's interesting is that the pill just didn't, really work the way they wanted, and that reminds me of what happened with Pfizer. Pfizer really pretty much ducked out of the pill. I guess the pill form is much more challenging than the injections.
So they say, and I think that has been very clear, because it's been, we've been waiting for this oral treatment for basically the same duplication of the GLP-1 treatment for now years. And there's also all these interesting forums and Reddit threads that I've been on a deep dive into, because it's fascinating. There's such a community that is enthusiastic behind this drug, because again, would save the needle approach that right now a lot of people do have some skepticism over, where I think that the idea is with an oral treatment, this will be able to be mass marketed. Also, the cost of some of these drugs do still, to me, have a hindrance over the mass marketing. I don't know how you can appeal to the masses when your treatments start at $450 to upwards of $1,200 a month. None of these treatments are cheap by any means.
Yeah, if your insurance doesn't cover it, that's right, it's over $1,000 easily. Let's talk about Airbnb here after its quarterly numbers. I see an underweight from Barclays this morning and a $105 price target. Not good news there. What are some of the thoughts here?
The thoughts here are this was some more softness for their revenue guide that had been anticipated. I actually think really interesting the way it's echoed what we've seen from other hotel operators. Like Marriott did give great results, undoubtedly so, but they also did give some tone of pessimism regarding travel demand into the back half of this year. Now, what's encouraging is so far from April to July, we have actually seen overall travel trends start to improve. But right now, the growth that's expected for the second half of this year was part of the reason we saw this weakness, because the earnings exceeded forecasts at $1.03 a share. also did see revenue come in better than feared and also marked some substantial growth on a year-over-year basis. But they did say that they're blaming the trend on tough comparisons with the year-ago period, and also right now highlighting these strong bookings they saw last year in Asia and Latin America as well, when we saw them boost earnings. So shares traded down as much as 6.5% this morning. But I do think there's still positive things to note. U.S. travel demand during the second quarter, again, recovered pretty substantially, and the industry overall has remained fairly cautious on the consumer confidence, despite the fact that we've gotten some positive developments from the Trump administration. So growth of nights books accelerated each month in the quarter through June, notably due to this rise in U.S. domestic travel. And they did say that while the quarter started with these global economic uncertainties, that they obviously are still seeing travel pick up. So there's things to take away here to, I think, say that, hey, travel is still faring better than feared. But the overarching tone is that we're not expecting the same acceleration to continue into the back half of this year, which I do think that it's not been just an Airbnb story. We've heard it from cruise lines, airlines, and a lot of these major hotel operators, the largest, of course, being Marriott. So it's not completely out of left field, but is a huge reason we're seeing this selling today, Nicole.
All right, Jenny Horne, great to see you. Thank you so much. Good look at some key names there.